And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at 7 Summits, which is about mountain climbing, a theme that seems to be in a decent amount of board games. People like climbing mountains. And this game here has the beautiful artwork of Quancha More on it, designed by Darren Anders and Adrian Adamescu. They've done quite a few games out there, and this is a press your luck style game in which you're climbing a mountain and you can pick and climb slowly, but you'll probably do better if you push your luck. But if you push it too much, you might fall off the mountain, which doesn't kill you, just makes you start all over again. But hey, whatever. Let's take a look at how the game plays. In this game, players are climbing up different peaks here. There are 7 different peaks, that's the name of the game. And the first, second, and third person to get to the top of each of the peaks is going to get points. So for example, the biggest mountain of all, Mount Everest, the first person to climb this gets 10 points, then 6 points, then 3 points. Players also have mission cards. You'll start with 1 at the beginning of the game, and you can possibly get more, and you might get points. This one, for example, says 1 point for each skill track you reach the top of. Also, there's little tokens all over the board, and some of these tokens, when you land on them, you flip them over, they'll give you points. This one, for example, gives 2 points. At the beginning of each round, one player is going to roll all 6 of the dice here. There's a die to match each mountain except Everest. And then they're simply going to put these 4-sided dice at the bottom of each mountain. Then each player is going to take a turn. On your turn, you will pick one of the dice. So let's say I pick the purple die because I want to go up that mountain. And then you move that many spaces. 1, 2, 3. And then just put the die at the top. No one else can pick that die this round, which means in a 3-player game, everyone's going to pick 2 dice. In a 5-player game, you'll pick 1 die and then reset. You can, instead of moving up the mountain of the color, you can always move up Mount Everest instead using that die. Now, after you move, you can keep pushing on if you want to. And you're going to roll the die again. So I'd roll this purple die again, along with one of these danger dice. So I'd roll those together. And if I roll this symbol here, you get to keep moving. You're fine. If I roll this symbol, I don't move at all. And instead, I go back 1, or go back 2, or worst of all, avalanche, go all the way back to the bottom of the mountain. So pushing your luck is always dangerous. When you climb Mount Everest, you roll 2 dice and you pick the worst result of the 2 things that you roll. So it's even more dangerous going up Mount Everest. When you land on a token, you'll take that token and you show it, and it will let you do something. This lets you move up 1 on one of your skill tracks. I showed you one that gave you a point. This one gives you an equipment card. Sometimes they let you climb up another mountain. This one lets you climb up 2 on Mount Everest when you use it. When you land on a skill token, or if you land on another player, you'll move up a track. When you land on another player, you move up the teamwork track. In fact, both of you move up the teamwork track. If you land on a preparation or expertise symbol, you move up on those tracks. When you move up on a track, you will get something. So for example, you move up on the expertise, you get to draw equipment cards. Equipment cards are cards that you can use on your turn. So for example, first aid kit lets you ignore the bad dice here to keep climbing. You can ignore it 1 time. A climbing harness, after you roll the dice to press on, while reclimbing you can re-roll 1 or both dice. The ice axe lets you re-roll any 2 mountain dice. So you can spend these equipment cards. Moving up this track gives those to you. Also, if you're the 4th person or more on a mountain to get to the top, you get those. Here, preparation gives you more mission cards. At the top, it lets you add or subtract from the mountain die. Top of the expertise track lets you use an adjacent die. Moving up on the teamwork lets you move your people extra spots. And at the top, it keeps cycling through where you get to move up on Mount Everest. That's pretty much it. The only thing you have to remember is to get to the peak of a mountain, you must reach it exactly. So if I'm here, I need to move 2 to get to the top. I can't use 3. Although I could use a 3 die, not move at all, and then press on, hoping to roll a 2 to get to the top. When there's one climber on the summit of every mountain, The end of the game triggers, you finish out the round, and then you get the points, as I told you, for getting to the peaks, for some tokens, and then for your mission cards. Whoever has the most points is the winner. On first blush, the board looks really cool, and I do like the artist here. Is one of my favorite artists for games. But I found this board to be awfully confusing. These spots here are a little difficult to see sometimes. It's easy to jump over one. The first one especially, when there's more than one person on a spot, it just gets messy. A slightly bigger board with bigger spaces I think I would have enjoyed more. And while I like the artist a lot, I found the equipment cards to be, I don't know, they just look okay. And the mission cards just all show the same piece of artwork. Overall, the graphic design and the meeples and the dice, and here's the thing, I know this is silly. I know they use these four-sided dice to, because they look like a mountain, but they don't roll well. The problem with four-sided dice is it usually just clunks on the board. And then where are you supposed to roll them and moving them? So the components for the game are okay. I just wish it was a slightly bigger board, bigger, chunkier pieces, but that just knocked it a little bit for me. In many ways, this game feels like an homage to Can't Stop, the classic Press Your Luck from Sid Sackson, which also had you moving up different columns, and you could try to go farther or stop at any point. That's what this has also. It's a little bit more chaotic in a sense. You're rolling a six-sided die. Three sides are bad. One is the worst, where you fall to the bottom. You climb up Mount Everest, you push your luck, you might fall away to the bottom quite a bit more often, since it can happen on one of two dice. I try every time when I play this game, I try to climb to the top of Mount Everest in one shot. I've never succeeded, but I've been one away before. But that's how I play Press Your Luck games. I tend to really enjoy these games. The mountain climbing theme is fine. It's one of those things that I'm impressed that people do it, and at the same time, mind-boggled that you would put your life in risk that way. But I get it, and it makes for a cool theme. Now, I mentioned in the components that I thought the components were a little lackluster, for me at least. Again, I think the artwork looks good and everything. It just felt like the game, the mishmash, almost the meeples are just ordinary meeples, right, with these rings. It felt a little and it also felt like it should be a bit more grandiose setup. But at the same time, the game also feels like there's maybe a little bit more in there than there should be. What I mean is, you're climbing up these mountains and you roll these four-sided dice over and over and over again. The game stretches just a smidge longer than I feel like it should. And every time I played this, near the end, I'm like, is it over yet? Because unless you give a really amazing turn, many times you can also just look at the board and go, oh, Melody's winning. There's no way we can stop her. She's at the top of these three mountains. She got lucky. Doesn't matter what we do mission-wise or such. But we're still playing out the game. And you also there's some repetitive stuff to it. So you roll the dice, and then someone picks a mountain. They decide if they're going to climb that mountain, then or Everest. Then they're going to roll the die and push it. Then maybe again. And it doesn't feel like there's that speed and which I feel like should be in a Press Your Luck game to some degree. So it's enjoyable. I don't dislike the game. I found it to be a pleasant game, a fun game. And my kids were like, I don't think those 7 peaks are next to each other. I was like, it doesn't matter. And my kids and I had a fun time playing it, but each time we get to the end, it kind of fizzles a bit, and it doesn't feel memorable. So it's close. It's kind of like a game I want to play a lot, but then I think, well, I could just play Can't Stop. Now, I'm not saying that you can't try to improve and do side things to the classics. I'm not that. Certainly let's try more Press Your Luck games, remove up things like the mountains. But this one felt just a bit clunkier than I like it to be. Part of that's the game board. Part of that's also the little tokens you turn over to see what that token might do, and what does my mission card do, and do I want to play an equipment card? And it just felt like it was a little fuzzy there to some degree. I think people are going to enjoy it. I also think people aren't going to talk about it, and maybe they're not talking much about it already, and that's kind of not the greatest thing for a game that just came out. But if you like the mountain climbing theme and this artwork inspires you, like I might put that cover would be a cover you put on your wall. It's fantastic looking. And if you like that and you like the Press Your Luck, pushing your luck aspect to a game, then this might be one that's right up your alley. It's also a smaller size box, small footprint, which is not a bad thing for sure. So there's a lot of good things. Moving up the little, getting your supplies up, those rings, That's interesting, not as interesting as I thought, because you have 3 rings moving up 3 spots each. You tend to move up as many of them as you can. It's not like, ooh, which track will I move up? So this game feels like there's more decisions than there is fun, but there is fun. I think a lot of people will like it. For me, I enjoyed it. I just don't think I'll play it again. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment, pleasant, but a little forgettable.